Okay guys, well, this is another Mystery Teachings research notes, and I just wanted to follow on from the decoding of the Vitruvian Man and woman. And so again, I just want to remind anyone that wants to listen into these videos and watch these videos that you will need to understand the language of symbolism. And to get that understanding, you will need to watch the Mystery Teachings and the 13 real tribes of Israel. And that will bring you up to where we're at with this information and what the symbolism and the scripture is revealing. And so far we've revealed that Vitruvian man is actually Vitruvian man and woman. It's symbolic for the firstborn. Vitruvian man is the first begotten, and then straight behind the first begotten is the woman, Messiah. And then from the male springs forth the other messiahs, which are the three males, and then from the three males springs forth the other three female messiahs, which bring it to 8. And so those messiahs are represented by the creatures, or the beasts, or they've been called many things. I call them just the thrones, or the tribes, or the messiahs. And so we look at them as the thrones when they're within the tribes of Israel, which is the one Messiah's tribe, because each Messiah has their own tribe, the North Messiah, the South Messiah, the West Messiah, and the East Messiah. And so the first emanation, however, of all the messiahs is the first begotten, which is the first mental emanation from the mind of the Creator. And that is ruled by the eagle, the tribe of the north, and the tribe of Dan. And then this is reflected into the winged man. And the winged man is Reuben, the tribe of Reuben and Malkuth. So we've got the eagle, which is connected to Ketha, now reflected into Malkuth, which is the winged man. And then we've got the lion, which is Judah, and the ox, which is Ephraim. Now these diagrams come from a book called Christian Symbolism. I'll leave the link down below for the PDF. And it's basically just a study of all the different symbolism in Christian mythology. So it's an excellent guide for anyone wanting to understand the symbolism and fully decode this. Because we have to understand, guys, I mean, I find it interesting that there's researchers out there that say they fully decode the Bible, but they only actually look at the words. And they completely dismiss all of the other symbolism within Christian mythology. And when you look at the paintings and you look at these diagrams, they are full of symbolism. So these researchers completely dismiss and exclude the symbolism from their equation. So I fail to see how they're getting the full story. So anyway, I'd rather get the full story. I don't just want to look at the words in Scripture. I actually want to look beneath the words at the symbolism, and I want to read Scripture in the way it was meant to be read by the adults, by those that are mature enough to disconnect from the establishment programming and find themselves. And so this is pretty much, you know, who my information is for, people that really want to understand the truth. And you do that by seeking information, not just listening to someone interpret Scripture through word. And we know that word can be manipulated, and I'm going to show you how we can see they manipulate the words, but the symbolism remains the same. And they can't change that to the point of hiding the truth from us. And so we can see now more confirmation that this is what the cross represents, and also this is what Leonardo was trying to depict here with Vitruvian man on the cross. The first emanation, the tribe of Dan, the first begotten. And then, as I said, from all else emanates. But it's first the messiahs, which are the 4 males and the 4 females. And this is represented in the fingers. And this is what Vitruvian Man also represents, because we saw in the last video that when we decoded it, Leonardo showed that the measurements were that the 4 fingers represented the Messiahs as the whole Messiahs, so they're being counted as one. But we know that God has 2 palms, so that there's that other element of the symbolism, and those that speak the language of symbolism can understand that. And so then we look at the thumb as being God, and we also then look at the hand as the never fading, always existing part of the divine that's connected to foundation. This is the part of the Creator that's always connected to foundation, and we can see that if we, choose to symbolically as a hand, and that's how I choose to see it, and that's how they chose to relate in the symbolism, and it makes perfect sense. And this is why Vitruvian Man is showing us in fingers, because this is how nature works, okay? All in a fractal. It's all in a fractal. See, nature can be decoded in the fractalized way of nature, but it can also be decoded in the ratio way of numbers. And so that's how we have to understand, this is how universal mind speaks to us, okay? And when we learn that language, then we can start understanding how the Creator, how the divine intelligence speaks to us actually through creation. So it also says here, which is I wanted to show you, because it reconfirms what I was saying about the 12 also being the 13, and it says here, we find that when the apostles are represented together in art, while their number is always 12, the same persons are not in all cases depicted, selection being made from the extended list, and then they give the list. So it's showing here that they acknowledge that there's sometimes 13 and there's sometimes 12. So here we've got that carbon copy, that shadow that's always here, that's always present on foundation of the Creator. And this is where they symbolize this sometimes. But it's also showing here the Latin and Greek differences between the different names. So we can see that we can't really rely on the word with the names now, because this would have been the first thing they manipulated. This would have been the easiest way to disguise the real story, would have been through the manipulation of the names. So we stick to what the symbolism is showing us. And I'm going to actually do a bit of a diagram up of what I'm finding along the way, because I found Jesus is represented as the Archangel Michael. Also, Jesus is represented as St. Jude and St. John, which is what I've found so far. So the list just keeps building, and this is how we start accessing the truth within the scripture, rather than just relying on the information that they give us. Okay, and so not relying only on the word and on the information that they give us allows us to find a deeper meaning behind the symbolism within scripture. And now we can see that these shields, or what they called emblems, are actually also representing the 4 tribes, or the 4 creatures, or the 4 thrones, or the 4, messiahs. So we can see that because when we actually come over and have a look here at the symbolism of the tarot cards, and then also the Tuatha De Danann, we can see the swords, the wands, the cups, and the pentacles are all represented again and again. Swords, this is the spears, okay, which is also the same as the wands, which is the wands, symbol of man. And then we've got the cauldron and the cups and the stone of fowl, the stone of destiny. And then we've got the pentacles. And this is the stone of destiny also, because the pentagram is a 5, and we know that 5 is actually symbolic of God's will, God's destiny, the Hierophant card, because we can actually even see on the Hierophant card, right, that we've got these keys, okay, these 2 keys. Now, when you actually have a look at, if you actually come over and have a look once again at the symbolism of the shields, we'll see the keys. So we know now that that's Pentacles. We know that that is, and that's the tribe of Judah. This is swords and the tribe of Dan. And as I said, the sword symbolism is very strong. It's always very strong. This is why we're actually discovering the information more about the tribe of Dan, the sword symbolism, and the tribe of Judah, because this symbolism is very strong in our psyche and also where it has been relayed. And so we start with basically the bones of the information, which gives us this information about the swords, which we see everywhere, and then from that actually reveals the rest of the information that we still have to uncover, because we're actually still colouring in the picture, if you know what I mean. And so then we've got the cups over here, and we know that that represents the cups as well, and the cauldron, and the tribe of Ephraim. And then we have over here the wands, which is the club, and the tribe of Judah, okay, or the spear of Lug the warrior. That's what it is in the Tuatha De Danann. And I'll actually post that diagram in the group too, guys, so you've got a copy of that, because I've actually had to clarify the diagram and revise it, because I was actually initially looking at this diagram, and when I'd first placed Bina and Chokma with Ephraim and Judah, I actually followed what was written onto this diagram, but it seems that this person has been, misunderstood Bina and Chokma, because Ephraim is the bull, and bull is actually Bina, okay? Emotion, understanding, and Chokma is basically wisdom, okay? And the pentacles, and we can even see that here with the circle, and we've got the cups, and this is because Chokma and Judah are representing the will of the Creator that doesn't change, the unchanging law of God brought down onto foundation. That's what the pentagram is symbolic for. That's what the stone of destiny is symbolic for. That's why it's called the stone of destiny, the stone of Phal, because it is God's will on foundation that is absolutely in stone, that cannot be changed. And so I just wanted to clarify that, guys, in regards to the Bina and Chokma and the relationship they have to each of the tribes. But as I said, it's because we've really been looking into Dan and Reuben, and we're finding all the information about Dan and Reuben, that we're not quite at Ephraim and Judah, but this is how the information reveals itself to us. You know, it's like this layering. So whoever wrote into this, actually should have just followed what the Tree of Life shows us, because it does show us that Chokma is on this side and Bina is on this side, okay, on the left, and then, you know, Chokma is here on the right. So that's the way it should be. And the other reason I know it's that way too is because I was looking at some information about Bina, and it's called Bina because it is representing understanding and contemplation, and it's likened to a place of mirrors that reflects the pure light of Chokma wisdom. So Chokma is the understanding of divine will, the understanding of wisdom. And then it goes on to increasing, multiplying an infinite variety of ways. In a sense, it is a quarry which is carved out by light. Now, when I saw it explained in that way, it just reminded me of the cup, okay, being carved out. But we can see that it is the same way that it should have been on the Tree of Life, and they shouldn't have swapped it around. Maybe they had some other information that they were looking at, and that's the reason that they've done it, because everything else is correct in the diagram, and it's very helpful in letting us know about man holding the club here, and we can see the clubs as well as in the normal playing cards. So that, you know, is more information that we did gain from this diagram. But yeah, just in relation to Chokma and Bina, the correct positioning is with Bina with emotion and Chokma with wisdom, because basically emotion is the final result of will and fire and passion. Okay, it all pools in emotion. I've said this before in previous videos. This is how it plays out. Okay, it gets brought down from the mental into foundation. It becomes God's will on foundation through man, and that plays out in emotion and love and, feeling. And both love and hate, because the Creator gave us all of our emotions for a reason. So I find it quite interesting. People want to deny anger and deny hate when it's actually been given to us, because the Creator wants to experience everything. Okay, there's nothing that's off limits, because it's about the Creator experiencing creation through man. Okay, and so when we have an understanding of that, then we can kind of understand what Leonardo was showing us here in the measurements of man, because he was giving us God measured on foundation in the 4 races, which equal the 96 fingers. But the 4 cubits that make the man are the 4 races that make the man, that make the whole of the Creator reflected onto foundation. And so I just wanted to also show you just where they say that I've actually ordered this book as well, because the PDF was taking a long time to download, so I just thought I would order it instead. So I'm going to definitely be scanning anything in that I find of interest. These pages were actually from the students in the group, so thanks very much for supplying us with this information, guys, because it's a team effort, and you guys helped me put the pieces of the puzzle together. And so this was really interesting to me, because I had noticed when I was looking at the different placements of eagle, man, oxen, the lion, that they would sometimes be interchanged. But I noticed that they never interchanged the eagle and man when it was placed as above and below. The eagle was always above man or beside man, never below. And this actually also confirms that exactly what I was saying. And it says that this arrangement, however, is by no means binding on the artist, for considerable differences exist in ancient examples, saying that you'll always find these placements a bit different. But this is because I think they're showing us different aspects of the Creator in the way that it plays out on the foundation. So sometimes you'll see it as the emanation, and then you'll see it, because the emanation, the way that the cross shows it, is that it's eagle, man, then Ephraim, and then Judah, which is fire. But when you actually see it play out emotionally, it's actually the other way around. It's plays out through will, then it goes into emotion. So this is why they transition it. See, they're giving us different information within the different aspects of symbolism. That's why I say to learn the language of symbolism is also understanding the context in which the symbolism is shown in. Okay, but you'll never see eagle below man, and you'll never see man positioned somewhere above eagle. It'll always be Ketha Malkuth, because we've got to remember the eagle and the man are also symbolic of Ketha and Malkuth, and so that is the never changing, basically the pillar to heaven from the creation when you're thinking about it within the Messiahs. It's the first 2 that really create that foundation for the emotion and the fire, the will to play out. So anyway, just wanted to show you that, because that was just kind of confirming what I said as well. Also wanted to show you this illustration here, because I find it interesting. We see that we've got a figure on the cross, and when you first look at it, you may think that it's Jesus, but when you actually come up closer, you see that it's Mary Magdalene. And so it's basically showing us Jesus as the emanation, which through everything else is manifest. And so Mary Magdalene is on the cross as a part of Jesus, because remember I said they could be placed as together or separate in symbolism, because basically it's both the same. Each soul contains part of the other soul, and so they're counted as one, and they're counted also as 2. And so here, this is how they've used the symbolism. And so there's 8, including Mary Magdalene on the cross. And then we have Jesus up here, with this descending down into the serpent's mouth, or the fish's, the beast's mouth. And this would be the physical plane onto which we manifest. And so I just wanted to show you a couple of these crosses as well that I'd found. Now this one here, I'm not really sure where this one was sourced. A lot of these images I find on the internet, but it does look authentic to me, and if anybody can find me any more information, I'd be very grateful. And it's basically the ancient Egyptian symbolism of the 4 tribes as well, and we can see the cross. Okay? And so we have to allow for slight changes as well throughout the different cultures. And this one I thought was really interesting as well, because they're basically showing the messiahs in the ethereal and in the physical. We've got the sun and we've got the ether, the moon, and they're also showing the 5, which is God's will on foundation once again. Okay, and then we see the cross with the 3 tiers at each side, symbolising each of the 3 tribes, which has 6 within each tribe, 6 individual messiahs or divine ones within each tribe, sorry, because there's only the 8 messiahs. And each of those messiahs then has 2 others within the tribe, as in whole others, which makes it a 3, but you can actually count them as 2, 4, 6. Okay, and the main one in the middle you could look at as the messiah of each of these thrones, or each of these messiahs that are manifest onto foundation. So we can just see it in the symbolism again and again. They've got the hexagram here, okay, with the, I think it looks like Jesus in the middle with his 2 fingers pointing up towards heaven. And that is basically what I wanted to show you. So I'll leave it there, guys. And as always, peace out.